Test, test, test. Test. Check, check. 1, 2. Microphone. Check. Test, test, test. All right, so today I'm going to break down, well, between tonight and the next few nights, I'm going to break down these characters into shapes. Full on shapes, and how you can draw these characters at home. So the first thing, everybody always asks me what type of pencil I use, and I'll show you. This is a Graph Gear 1000 by Pentel. It's a 0.7. That's the size of the lead that comes out of it. So when I click this, more lead comes out. If you click and hold, then you can push it back in, and then you hit this button and it retracts. So that's how to use this pencil. You can get this on Amazon. And then the lead I use, I don't know if I put the lead away. I don't know if I have it right here. I think it's in one of these drawers. Here we go. The lead that I use is Pilot, and it's Neox in different colors. So this is the red that I have in here, and then I have another one of these pencils, and I have blue. So get these on Amazon as well. These are the two colors that I have by Pilot, 0.7 soft blue and red. Together probably spend like less than 20 bucks. Okay, so who are we going to draw today? I'm going to start with, I'm going to try to do five at a time. So let's do Daisy, Duck. Hey brother, what's up, Austin? Very, very quiet. Huh. That's odd. Let's do Daisy, Duck. You're very, very quiet. Question? Hey brother, what's up, Austin? Am I quiet? Very, very quiet. Huh. Or was that not really? I don't know if I'm quiet. If you can't hear me, let me know. Okay, let's draw Daisy. I'm going to break this down in shapes for you. Okay, Austin, good. You're not quiet. All right, so let's find a Daisy for just a regular Daisy. All the way up. I can hear just fine. I have my mic. It should be all right. Feel free to send me a friend request. There's a lot of people in here tonight. 70 people. That's awesome. So let's just start with a Daisy. And you're going to see every line here. Let me move my phone so you can see. Okay. So what I do when I start, maybe your phone then he is clear. What I do when I start every character is I start with a circle. Just a simple circle. If you have a bunch of lines, that's fine. So I go this side and then this side, right? And then I split it down the middle. And usually when there's like a nose, like say there's a nose here, I split a line here. And I'll bring a line there and I'll put the nose there. Okay, does that make sense? So she's got her bill down here, right? Okay, so I always start with a circle, and the reason why I start with a circle and then the line in the middle is you can start with features first, and then you're going to wrap around the face. You're going to wrap the face around the features, okay? Let me see if I can get a little bit closer here. I just wanted to zoom in just a little bit more on the, and maybe turn my brightness down. Let's get you as close as I can get to this And then let's turn the brightness down just a tad. So you can see my circle in line. So we start with a circle, we start with that, and we split it, right? Next, what I'll do is I'll probably put like a point here. That's where I'm going to start the bill. And with her bill, it starts kind of going up and down. So think of like a mountain here. Okay, so you have a mountain forming in the middle. See that? And the reason why I do that is so I have area for her eyes. So this mountain will start coming up on this left side a little bit. So something like this. You see that? I need to talk to someone. Amy. What's up, Amy? From there, at this point, I will start forming the eye. And this eye, what I do when I'm drawing is I end the point, because I'm going to end over here. I find where I'm going to end, like how this is kind of like down. So this is where I'm going to end, and then I'm going to go up and over. And this is the start of Daisy's eye. You got that? Next, I'm going to split it, so probably about 3/4 of the way up. I'm going to start a line here and then form it down. This is going to give you her eyelid. I'm sorry to hear that, Amy. Well, we're here for you. Know that. Okay, so right here is where I'm going to bring some lashes up. And so you notice how I'm not really moving my wrist when I bring these lines up. And I'm going to bring 3 lashes up. And the middle one's a little bit longer. So you have 3 lashes on this line where we brought this up 3/4 of the way up, right? Then her eye, you could put this eye anywhere, but seeing how she's looking off to her right, I'm going to start drawing these, another little mountain or a half circle of some sort, right? And then I always put this little circle inside of any character's eyes, and that's called a catchlight, and I fill in around that. Okay, so we got our mountain, we got our eye coming up, and then over here, we're going to have another little, you can draw lines on this. That's why I use these lighter colors, because when you go over them later, they kind of disappear into the background. You can erase them as well. So from diagonal from this is where you're going to put this other circle. I call them, you can call them ovals, whatever you want. You're not going to finish if you finish the circle, it'll be down here, right? So from there, I have a point that's going to go, you're going to have her eyelid right there. So it's just basically the opposite of this side. This side goes up, this side goes up that way. So you're kind of converging going that, right? And from the end point of this is where you're going to flip up these 3 eyelashes, right? When you ink over these pencil sketches, do you use a Sharpie? I have a Micron. These pens are beautiful. Micron is the name. So these come in different points as well, like a 0.3 and a 0.5 and 0.7 and stuff. So when you see the tip of these, you can't really see it because of that, but you can see it when I bring it down there. So that's what I would go over it, because they're finer points than like a Sharpie. So then, because she's looking off to her right again, this eye is coming in here and it's smaller, and you can put a little tiny light in there, right? So we already have her eye started. Now we can start wrapping that beak around. So the beak is going to come up a little bit on the left side and start wrapping, kind of like a hook on that other side, right? And you can kind of bring that beak down this circle that we started. And as it comes down, it's going to wrap around that circle that we already have on the outside, right? From there, I'll bring that line all the way over and kind of up as it's coming up. And just a little bit up, and you're going to bring a line coming back. And this is where her smile line is, right? See how I went over on this side and kind of completed it? I didn't continue on with that line. I went over here, and then I married it with this other one, right? And all these smile lines have these little tiny, just like, whoop, 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 kind of like that, right? Or you could do a straight line, but I kind of form it back into itself as a smile line, right? To complete her beak, we're going to go to a little bit over the middle of the beak of this mountain that we started. And you're just going to bring it back. And as you bring it back, you have it like that, right? Basically like the same space between these two. And then, see this line here? You're going to bring that line up right here. What's up, Alex? And then as this line comes up, you have part of her eye over here. You're going to have this thing that kind of wraps down, and you're going to have that line kind of continue. And there's Daisy, her beak. This could be closer if you want. Like, I don't have it completely close, so you could come down. I think I came down a little too much. So if you have it like up a little bit more, that's fine too. Okay. From this beak point over here, you're going to come in just a little bit as it starts curving, and you're going to bring this line up. And what you're going to do on top of the eye, sort of like her brow, right? So you can go into her eyelashes there if you want and kind of complete it on the other side. And then the same thing with this side. So two other mountains, I would call them, that are on top of her eye. It's very important though to get something like a light pencil or something, that, and feel free to make as many lines as you want. You don't have to just have one line. You see how many lines I have going on. It's just going to look better if you add more lines. Okay? So this is coming down, this is coming up. And then what you're going to do is start making some sort of round curve. This is going to be her bow. As you curve it and going up, just kind of going up and off to the right. And the same, you're going to come back and then come up with this and give like a point to the top. Yeah, I have, I think I've drawn the White Rabbit before. So another sort of mountain going on up top here. And it's going to come down. Something like that. So mountain here, and this is going to curve in and connect to her, the top of her eye there, or eyebrow. Then you're going to, the middle of her bow here, or like a little bit, cut a little bit in, and then what you're going to do, you see how I completed already? You can make this like a circle in the middle, but a full circle will be over here. So say this is a circle here, but you would erase this part. Then sort of the middle of this circle up here, you're going to come up again and make another little sort of mountain going on like that, or like an upside down V, but it's kind of rounded. The red is just like light, and then when you go over with black, the lines sort of disappear. I have blue here as well, so it kind of disappears into the background. You can erase these colors easier than if you used a regular just lead pencil, gray lead pencil. Okay. So again, cutting in, cutting up, and that's where you're going to form this line coming down. It kind of looks like a butterfly a little bit. A butterfly would have like something up here going on. So just think of a butterfly. You could think of these wings as, let's do it over here. This would be a sort of a quick bow that would look something like this. So think of these as triangles and a circle in the middle, if that helps. Kind of like what I did over here. Okay, and these are circles for her eyes. If we can completed them, that'd be circles for her eyes. And then all you got to do is complete this bow here, attaching to this circle that's there. Yeah, this is soft. I think the blue is soft blue. So then you'll have line, like a line here, just to add a little bit more definition, and then you'll complete her bow. You'll see like the inside of the bow here. So you can think of an eyelid for that, something like that. Two lines kind of connecting, or a surfboard, if you will. Okay, so there's the face of Daisy, right? And then where you're going to put her, as this starts coming down, this is where her neck would be. And then I would say probably at this point, where the top of the beak is where you will put the other line for her neck, right? Now, getting into her body, right? What you can do to start forming bodies, most people like know how to do a stick figure, right? They say, oh, I don't know how to draw, I just know how to draw a stick figure, right? So what you can do is start drawing lines. This is as far as people get. They get to these lines. And what I do, you can do this as well, if you're following along, or later on. You can do circles for the hands, right? So line, line. Everyone can draw lines. And then what you want to do for like a body is you want to put like a triangle in there. Because as our bodies sort of get down to our waist, you know, it starts up elongated and then kind of comes down to, you can do this for action figures and stuff like that, right? So that would be her body. And then you can, usually sometimes for joints you just do circles. Bring this line out. I'm just following along with what the picture I see. And that would be another spot for her hands, right? Circle. If you want to do her, for these ducks, they have circles sort of for their bottoms. So you'd have something like that. That would be your bottom. And then her knee is kind of coming in. And then she has circles for her feet, right? So her legs are usually shorter for Donald and Daisy and stuff, so something like that. So I put two circles in there, circle here, circle there, right? Next, you just kind of want to start forming your muscles. So when I think of your stick figure, right? Your line here, you want to just put lines on the opposite of those, and that's where you start forming your muscles, or your, you know, just think of these as bones here. You can put circles at the end of each joint if you wanted to. So as this line starts coming down, it starts curving. See that? It starts curving, and then this curves a little bit too. Also, when our arms start coming up, you see like this bone is sort of, and then starts curving into our hands. So even for ducks, it starts getting smaller as it goes up, right? So as it goes down, it gets wider. Hands can be a little tricky for certain people, but if you start with the circles, then thumb wants to 101 with Jason, yeah. Thumbs are smaller, but they usually just have two joints going on there. So your joint here, your joint there. And then as her finger comes up, you want like this part to be rounder. You see that? How my finger is rounder on this side, is flatter on that side. That's what I'm doing with fingers the same way. It's rounder when they're showing her fingers, right? Same with coming down here. Round because her fingers are showing, so she's waving. And the same with that. So if you think of like that, it's like flatter on that side, but sort of coming out. It's kind of like that. It's kind of like compressed in on the outside, but it's out on the inside. So circle, kind of compressed in a little bit, but kind of straight, So there's basically the hand, if that makes sense. And usually there's like a line here to show that's sort of representing your thumb, this line right here, if that makes sense to you. Okay, so moving on, as this circle comes up here, you'll have a line there, and we'll bring this into what she's wearing. Usually these are just wrapped around. When you're wearing clothing, it's just wrapped around. So I have this wrapped around, and then what she's wearing, like a blouse, I guess you would call that. But the great thing about when you're using like these pencils is if I screw up, like say I'm over here, I'm like, oh, no, I got to be over here. It's easy, and you just can erase that line or leave it. And it doesn't show that much impression as if you were using a regular pencil. If you're using a regular pencil, everything starts to look the same, So down at the bottom of her blouse, Daisy Duck, thank you. It will start curving like that because we're going to form her whole body, right? So it starts curving out, and then you can do whatever you want with. Think of this like a wave. I always think of like fluidity when you're drawing, This starts coming up, and you gotta, do her chest there, show the chest, and that will lead back. So it's a little curve, like so, right? But you saw how, this line that we had for the upside down triangle is like disappearing because I'm going darker with that. You don't see it anymore, I have never drawn for Disney. Now, we have this cut in because she's wearing a V-neck, so it's basically just a V that's coming down. But if you had a straight down V, it wouldn't look good. So you have that kind of forming down her body, and as it goes down, it meets in the sort of the middle. This is the middle of her body here, and then kind of up, and you can have this line lead down into her body too, right? You guys with me? You can always fast forward or rewind this later. Now I got to bring this up because this is coming up, but I bring this up just a little bit, and we're going to start forming her other side. So again, doing the same thing that we did on the other side with the muscles. I'm going on both sides of that line that we made earlier. Again, rounding the elbow there. And she's wearing like a bracelet of some sort, right? And you can color that in if you want to, just to give it a little bit more definition, right? So completing the back side of her hand. And there's that round point again. It's kind of touching her beak. I did make this beak a little bit, like I said earlier, a little bit too wide coming down this way. But that's okay. We're just sketching. It doesn't have to be perfect. The chic one, yeah. And then you barely see this other finger there. So line down, this line will come down and it will form into her arm. Okay. Continuing with this, we're down at the bottom of her shirt here. And you don't want, it's coming out here. So depending on how tight the shirt is, you gotta leave a little space because you gotta show the shirt. You can take all this, right? And just go like that if you're doing a sketch. It's just real quick. Could do that with her bow up there. And as this comes down, what they tend to do, Disney tends to do, is like have these like lines that are leading into something like this line. You have two lines there, right? Were you inspired by anyone in particular or just for fun? My grandfather was an artist. When I was younger, I would ask him to draw me things and he would draw for me whatever I wanted. So you're gonna start doing the I guess tail feather is what they call it. And these are just kind of like waves, if you think of waves. And these are those lines that I said that they kind of lead into each other. And then these, think of like clouds as these start coming down. And this turns into like, I don't know, some sort of dress or something. I didn't show you that. But these are like waves, I was saying, and then circle, 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 right? So I would encourage you guys, if you don't have like a pencil, most people have colored pencils, grab a colored pencil and start just making lines on paper. Here's those two lines leading into each other. Because you're not going to see, when this bone comes down here, or when you're, this line will be on top. If this line was coming up, it wouldn't look good. So think of these as two separate things, but this line will be on top. Yeah, for sure. Okay, and now this is where our circle comes in handy. She's wearing these high heels. So you have the circle and then you have this line that kind of leads alongside of it, and that makes it look like it's inside of her shoe or her high heel. As this line comes down, this line comes up. And then she has like a square. Oh, this is basically pretty much the only square that we used down here is like a rectangle square that kind of leads off to the side. Because as it's leading up into the shoe, it's going to get wider, and as it goes away, you could even make her, say you wanted to make her with higher heel shoes, all you got to do is as it goes away, it just gets smaller into itself, right? High heel shoes. Okay. So now we'll start up here again, and this line kind of comes down and then overlapping on this other side. And these circles, line, 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 something like that, right? And you have these lines coming down. As it comes down there, this is where you have your, see if anyone's writing. another little circle here, or oval, if you connected it, if you wanted to connect that, right? And as this line comes out and goes in curves, it's going to start curving there. And this is where you can see the inside of the shoe or high heel. You can fill that in with color too. Okay, so there's our Daisy Duck. Hopefully that helped you. That was a 20 or 30-minute tutorial. I'll probably end up be able to do one more because I thought these would be quicker, but I hope that helped you with Daisy Duck. Now let's get to our next character that you guys had suggested. Let's scroll back down. Mufasa. Yeah, Mufasa I could probably do for you. But you see how many lines that I used on that? It's okay to use lines. I think you guys are afraid to pick up a pencil, but more importantly, the correct pencil, you want to pick up light colored pencils, right? Okay. Next, let's try to do a Mufasa. Let's do a Mufasa for you guys. Okay. Someone said Mufasa, right? This will be a fun one. I'm just gonna draw Mufasa by himself. Kind of smiling. It's just a regular sketch paper. This is the brand name. 50 pound, 100 sheets. Nothing really special, I don't know. You don't really need anything special when you're sketching, just as long as the paper is kind of smooth. Okay, I'm gonna start with the face here. And the same thing, you're gonna start seeing repeated patterns here when I draw. I'm probably gonna get to 2 a night with the way that we're going, because that was 33 minutes. Okay, Mufasa, same situation. I start with a circle, right? I split that circle, and this time I'm splitting it where the nose is. His nose is going to land right here in the cross section, right? So think of a triangle for this. But instead, start curving that on the bottom. And then as you come up on each side, well, this side is like flat. It's going to come down in the middle. Think of mountains again, right? Something like that. I can't answer that question here, Harry. Okay. So split that in the middle. Right, so there's Mufasa's nose. And then on each side is where you're going to, these would be your circles. But on this side, his nose, his nostril, I guess, is a little bit bigger and leading up. Okay, that's where you're going to fill these in. Okay. Next, on each side of Mufasa's nose, you'll have these lines, right? These lines leading up to his eyes. And then it flattens out, goes straight up, and then over again. Kind of like that. And there's like a little line here. that you'll connect on this side. So like a backwards L over here. And then as you get up here is where he'll have his eyebrows. Yeah, I'd probably do like one more after this. I want to get 3. And there's like a little line on this side of his eye, right? Then there's another little line here, and this is the start of his eyelid. And then, oh, the weather person scared me on my phone. So you got that on video. And then with these eyes, they're just like regular human eyes. They just kind of go like that. Two little lines like that. So not quite an oval, but you could do an oval if you wanted to, if you couldn't do 2 lines connecting on both sides. There's like 2 points on each side, right? And then you will draw two like little, I don't know what you would call them, 2 little mountains in there, and you'll fill in one part of that. And the other part you can shade it in a little bit if you want. Next he has this line coming into his nose, and then wrap this around. So it looks something like that. Okay, that makes sense. It's practice, Jen, it's practice. You gotta practice. That's the key to being great at anything or good at anything. And then on this side, as this line starts coming up, you'll have this line over here. Same thing that's like going on over there. And you'll have his eye. Pretty much all of it showing. Same sort of thing. He's just kind of like looking down and off, right? Next, from this line on this side, come up and here. So you have a little piece showing up here. That's where we're going to put his eyebrow. And then finish his eyelid up top there, right? And then take, so start making this darker on top here. That's where you'll have his eyebrow. Okay, so coming in, as you come up here, put a little point here, and this is going to start curving and then coming down. You see how like when I'm drawing, I'm just like little bit. It's not like, I'm not like going real fast, or like just, some people will just come down here and just like hold it, grip it real tight. I'm just very loose, moving my wrist and stuff like that as it comes down. And you can do that very regal. You can do that with these pencils. Okay, you got a line coming up here. And as it's coming over the nose, it's coming up and then down. And as it's coming down, it's starting to form into his smile. See that? It's like down and up. And that's where you'll have his smile line there. You could leave it at that if you wanted to and just do his the rest. Just kind of like his chin there if you wanted to. Or you can cut in a little bit, and this is where you're going to start his mouth is like slightly open. This comes across, and that's going to connect, but not all the way up. Don't go all the way up. You know, connect it right there. See that? Next, we'll put his teeth in, come all the way to this side, and his teeth seem a little round because in most animation, the good guy is not so jagged, and the bad guy is usually very pointy. So even down to his teeth, they're kind of round. But think of triangles as you're drawing them. And then his tongue is behind this line, so he's got his tongue in there as well. So just think of like a mountain, curved line. And then we're going to fill in this part. This is the inside of his mouth. Okay. Next, a little bit in. I only go by like little bits, just a little bit in, but still having like a little bit showing on the upper lip there, right? There's still some of that overhang. And as this comes down, it gets a little bit thicker. Thin, thick, and it opens up here, right? And as his chin starts coming down, it starts wrapping around. And then you're going to connect it up to this smile line. Yep, bad guy is usually like very pointy and jagged, meaning he's a bad guy. Just because you're a bad guy does not mean you're a bad guy. So then after this smile line is where that's going to connect up to like the top of his nose. Okay. So you notice how I did all the features first. That's where you want to start. Nose, eye, these are all your features, your mouth. Because if I just started with a circle first, or a small circle, big circle, I wouldn't be able to wrap, I wouldn't be able to put everything into that. Let me just respond to your friend requests here. So that's why we do features first. Okay. Now, a little bit up here, as this is cutting in, you're going to have this like little, like, whoop, and then zip this up, and this is going to start forming his face, and that cuts in. So line up, line that. So we just cut in just a little bit, just to bring it up there. And then on the top of his eyebrow, it's going to cut in some more, right? And this is going to cut down in the middle. So think of a U here. And then this is going to cut up and over. And because lines have like this, like, it's kind of hard to describe, but kind of like V's on the side. Okay. I'm going to have a line coming up and out to the right, and this is where his mane is going to be. I'm probably just going to do the face sculpt for him. And you can put these lines anywhere, like these lines that kind of cut up and out. This is just like his hair. This doesn't have to be perfect. You could do something like whatever you wanted to do. So give it a little bit of distance, because it's his mane. And as that mane comes down, this is like a V, as it's like the middle of his mouth there. And then this is going to come up, so he's going to have a little bit going on right here too. And right here. All we got to do is put his ear that's like kind of hiding. He has this like line on this side, right? And that's where you're going to put like a curve. And inside of that is where the other inner part of the ear will be. if that makes sense. It's like a little bit there. Okay, there he is. Hopefully that helps with you drawing Mufasa. Hopefully that helped you drawing lions. We're going to do one more tonight before I head out here. We did 2 in the 46 because I was explaining that. I can continue with this if you want. Let me just finish it off. So as the lion comes down, or as Mufasa, this is kind of bent, a bent line. So straight down, curved in the middle. But you see how, like, again, my hand is on a hinge. I'm not moving it all around. I'm not like this. I'm kind of on the side. And again, we can go with the circle if we want for his paws. His paws is going to be a line and then another little line. These are all just like lines on top of lines. Lions, get it? Lines on top of lions. Line. And as it comes here, it's going to curve. His paw, right? And you have a spot up here that's kind of curved too. And if you don't know this, Disney would bring in lions and things like that, and they draw, see how they move, things like that. So everything was referenced. It wasn't just like wing it, you know, they studied all this stuff. So it's okay to reference when you're drawing. People all sometimes ask me if I'm just drawing this from memory. No, I'm looking at something because I don't know how it looks. So you gotta look at something to reference from it, you know? Did I freeze? Am I frozen? I missed like a whole bunch of comments, I think. This might be frozen. Oh, it's working on this side, but I missed. I think there were a whole bunch of comments after Jen said. Looks amazing. Shere Khan. I'll probably end with Stitch tonight because he's easy. Okay, I'm getting your comments. This thing froze over here. This is why we're... Okay. So, this part over here, part of his mane, this is where part of his shoulder will show up. So something like that. Think of a candy cane on this side, right? How candy canes are. Love these lessons. And then as you come down, see this? This is like his joint in there. Again, like kind of curved at this point, and then these lines. So 4 there. Remember, as it's coming down, it's getting smaller, like we talked about with the arms and stuff. We'll finish the body here. So this will lead back. And what you could do is, if you want to do the body, you know, you just put a big circle. That's the body of a lion. Just help you with guides and stuff. Same as this line comes down. Little curved in the middle there. These could be circles. You could think of these as circles. Just kind of lines. Circles. 1, 2, 3. Just make these lines thicker leading up, you know. Wow, you good. Somebody said. So 4 there. And then we have the back of him that's coming down. As it comes down, it's going to lead into that tail. So it's coming down, lead into that tail. And he's got like these little things like that. This would be his tail. You don't really see all of his tail. And then this line will be coming back like that. If that makes sense. Now we just got to draw the other foot here. So there he is, like walking, smiling, probably talking. He could call me. You know? Maybe saying something like, "Everything the light touches is our kingdom." What's that shadowy place over there? Simba. Simba. You deliberately disobeyed me. And what's worse, you put Nala in danger. Simba! That's probably what he's saying. Okay. There's your Mufasa. Okay, somebody said something earlier that they wanted me to draw. I'm getting your comments over here. I'm going to do one more tonight. It's going to be Stitch. And then we'll say goodnight. And we'll probably continue these lessons. I got to get to 20, so we're at 2. 18 more to go. You want to see Stitch. Stitch is actually an easy character to draw, I think. I've drawn him a lot. Okay. One last one. What time is it? 10 o'clock? That's not bad for a time, right? Let's do an easy Stitch for you guys. Here's a simple one. I love the Lion King. Lion King was one of my favorite. I actually had a Lion King tape, and I had a Walkman. If you guys don't know what a Walkman is, old tapes were before CDs, before MP3s, before streaming. We had these things called tapes, cassette tapes, right? You put it in a Walkman, which was square, and you had these headphones, which you have headphones now, but they're all wireless now. This had a wire on it and went into it, right? And I had the soundtrack to Lion King, and I thought it was the coolest kid in town, or at my sister's soccer game. I was like singing all the songs. Be prepared. Okay, here's a quick Stitch. You're gonna love how quick we can draw Stitch. Okay, Stitch has kind of like an oval-y head. Like something like so, right? And we're going to form this later, so that's why make as many lines as you want. Just make them light. Don't make them too deep, you know. Sorry, people are texting me. And we're still going to split this down the middle, and I'm going to split it where his nose is going to be, because his nose sits more at the base of this. Oh my god, I love it. Because it was the coolest music. I had a Lion King themed birthday party the year it came out. Nice. So his nose is kind of like this. Kind of like an acorn. If you think of an acorn, it's kind of like this. Or like a diamond. And it can kind of go like that on the side. And you can fill this in. Sometimes I leave like a catchlight where it's like a circle on the nose. It's kind of like the light hitting it, you know. Now you're going to have a line that comes down from the middle of that. And you're going to have a line coming from this side. And a line coming from that side. And it's going to touch the edge. Okay? Yes? Now, we're going to make the outside of his eye, right? It kind of just like forms around that side of the face, but we don't go all the way. We leave a little bit of space where the mouth is. And it's kind of like forming as it goes. Like there's like a little point here, and like so. So a complete like oval would look like this. This is like about half of an oval. Now his eyes. So it's like one little point on this side. So there's no point on this side. It's kind of like round. And he's got another little circle inside of that. You could think of like a goldfish like turned sideways going upstream. That's what I would think of when I think of Stitch's eye. If you just did an oval there, that's fine too. That wouldn't make too big of a deal if you just did an oval there. Same with that. If you did an oval there, it would be okay. Okay, other point of his nose, same ordeal, kind of curving as it goes up, down, and then this kind of curves at the bottom and connects to that other side. Same sort of ordeal. Think of the goldfish, like pointy on this side, and you got to put an eye in the goldfish, which will be the circle. Catch light in the eye, right? And you can fill all this in. That's basically Stitch's face right there. And what I'm going to do is kind of curve this. This is Stitch without teeth. We could probably do one with teeth later on. And what you have to remember to do with Stitch, my iPad is at 5, you have to put these little points at the top. Right? So coming down from the eye here, you're going to shoot this line up and kind of off, going off, and then curves at the top and curves coming down. You're going to have a little triangle in there. You're going to add triangle, and you're going to wrap this part, curving it in and curving it sort of in here. This is the outside of his ear. Same thing with this side. This is going up and out, but then you're going to put the triangle as this curve comes down. That's where you're going to cut in with the triangle. This is pretty much matched up with that ear, and cut this in for his outside of the ear, right? Now for Stitch's body, you can start with a circle if you want. And he has these little, like, same sort of thing kind of going on there, but like 1, 2, 3, right? And on both sides of that, you have these lines that come down, and they're getting closer as they come down because we got to put the bottom where he's sitting. It's like another little line there, right? From there, this will curve, and this will curve, and you'll put these 3 little circles down here. You'll fill them in. This is like Stitch's fingernails, right? And then what you're going to do, see the circle that we formed? You're going to do a circle here for his foot and a circle inside of that for the bottom of his foot because he's just sitting there. You can finish this part of his arm. You're going to put these little circles here and fill them in as well as you go up that foot circle. Circle, circle, circle. There's so many circles. He's got like 4 fingernails right there. See that? And then on this side, same thing. Circle, cutting in and connecting these to that circle. And you got a circle here, circle here, circle here. It's pretty much spaced the same, and then just a circle for the middle, and fill it in. So there's Stitch for you guys, the most requested character I get all the time. Can you draw Stitch? And yes, I can draw Stitch. So there's Stitch looking cute. Hopefully that helped. Just think this is kind of like an oval, but kind of split for the head, and it curves on the side. Hopefully that helped with your drawing. That's all I'm going to do for tonight. Then we'll pick this up in remaining nights. So we did 3. I got 17 more to go. 17 more characters. So you saw 3 tonight. I did Stitch, looking cute as a button. And we also did Mufasa, looking pretty good. And Daisy. Her beak needs to come up just a little bit, but it's just a sketch, so have some fun. Go get a pencil, blue, red, whatever color, and start making some lines on paper. Alright, I'll talk to you guys later. Stitch looks awesome, thank you. I hope you have a great night. I'm going to head to bed, 10:23. And I will talk to you in our next drawing session. I'll keep doing these. This was about an hour. Not bad to do 3 in an hour. Usually I do 3 when I'm just drawing real quick in like 45 minutes. So a little bit longer. But I will talk to you guys soon. Have a great Tuesday. And I will talk to you another time. Have a great night. Peace.